the way you come to understand the Prophet ﷺ better, the way you get to understand the Quran better, the way you get to understand Islam in its entirety and its dynamics better is by understanding and learning these stories. They're not meant to make us live in the past. They're not meant to just, the golden days of Islam happened in the past and they're no more, and we're just going to spend the rest of our life crying about the past. That's not the reason why we learn the stories of the Sahaba. But rather than, even today, when they want to market something, use this product to lose weight, they actually bring for you people that stand in front of the camera before and after, and they tell you, I've used this product and it worked for me. What are they doing? They're telling the story of success of this product. Why are we mentioning the stories of Sahaba? Because they are the product that Islam manufactured. They are the product. They are the human at best, And what I have seen throughout my life is that these stories, they did not happen and stopped in the past, but they actually keep on happening again and again and again. And we still have Abu Bakr's in the Ummah, and Umar's in the Ummah, and Uthman's in the Ummah, and Ali's in the Ummah. So we have all of that, and that is the beauty of this Ummah, alhamdulillah. The Prophet ﷺ, he said the best generation, right, is the generation that the Prophet ﷺ said the best generation is my generation, then the next generation, then the next generation. But he did not say the best human beings, the best individuals. He's talking about an entire generation, right? But even the Prophet ﷺ told the Sahaba, you're going to meet people who are better than you. Yani, Rasulullah ﷺ described Uwais al-Qarni to the Sahaba. Uwais never seen the Prophet, came to see the Prophet has already passed away. And Rasulullah said, you will meet Uwais al-Qarni from Yemen. If you see him and you meet him, let him make dua for you. And guess who went and chased Uwais al-Qarni and made dua for him? Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab, when he was a Khalifa. So you can see how good people will always come, and fascinating people in the Ummah will always come. But the question is, can we embody these stories? Can we learn something? Right? So we human beings learn so much through stories, more than we learn in any other way. I think there's two sisters. They graduated from Stanford they had their masters done in in how to design curriculum, and they found out after studies that the highest retention, people remember what you said to them, is the old way of teaching, which included telling stories. Then people remember the whole thing from beginning to end because it's a story, right? If you tell them dry pieces of information, then they are what? Then they will forget. So if I say, Allah says, be good to you, the one who's good to you, and the one who's not good to you. Allah says, forgive. Allah says, move forward. Allah says, have mercy. Allah says, you walk out and then someone says, what did he say? I think he said something about like forgiveness or this. But if I tell you the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, now it's all different story. Now you remember, through the story, you remember forgiveness, moving on, mercy, love, because of the story. So that's why Allah says, we tell you their stories to fix your heart. Yeah? People say, this is story that you're telling us is 1400 years ago, right? But please pay attention. When Allah told the story of Yusuf to the Prophet ﷺ in Mecca, the darkest days, Yusuf was more than 1400 years before the Prophet. The closest prophet to the Prophet ﷺ is 571 years, which is Isa alayhi salam. Right? Isa, Yahya, Zakaria, Maryam. This has happened like 600 average on 600. So any other prophet had happened before the story. So when people say, oh, you keep on talking about the stories of Sahaba and you're talking about the past and we want to live in the present. True. We want to live in the present. We just learn so much from these stories. One of these stories is the story of Sayyidina Zubayr ibn al-Awwam radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who is the nephew of Khadija, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Khadija had one sister called Hala and had two brothers. One is called Hizam and one was called Al-Awwam. So Al-Awwam, the brother of Khadija, passed away, they say, before the Prophet declared his da'wah, so before the days of Islam. His son was there. Interestingly, what is narrated to us is one of two things. Either he embraced Islam when he was 8 or he embraced Islam when he was 18. The narrator did not pick up the number, right? But most likely this man has embraced Islam as a young person, a teenager, right? He embraces Islam and he embraced Islam right in the beginning. So the people of Siyar, they are not sure, is he number 4, is he number 5, is he number 6 of those who embraced Islam? Jazakallahu khair, barakallahu feek, thank you, shukran. Bismillah. So, they are what? The people are not sure when did Zubayr ibn al-Awwam embrace Islam. So, but we know he embraced Islam when he was very young. Zubayr ibn al-Awwam represents youth who want change, youth who are full of energy. So by nature, when you look at youth, by nature youth are radical. They're extremists. And one of the things that we parents try to take away from the youth is that, that to the youth it's black and white. You talk about wisdom, they're not interested. They want to do it and do it right now. What does Islam do with the energy of the youth? Islam directs it. So when you look at the Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib, Zayd ibn Haritha, now we're talking about Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. They're all young. They're all either right before their teen years or into their early teen years, or in this case, around 16, 17, 18, right? So one of the things that I see today is that, what do parents tell their teenagers? We just don't worry about anything. I will work. We will provide for you. We will do this. Just sit down and get A's. Like, one, you have to make peace with reality that the young person will never do that. Two, it's not healthy, nor it's right to make a person sit down and do nothing but read and pass tests and get A's. Three, he can do that plus other things. You don't tell him only do that. No, you tell him do that plus other things. Four, the second you throw a problem at someone, like when the youth have a problem, whatever problem is thrown at them, they will be busy with it. If they don't have a problem, they will make a problem. So when do youth give you a hard time at home? Is when you're not keeping them busy. You didn't give them a problem. So very interesting. We find for the parents who came, I don't know, India, Pakistan, Somalia, Iraq, Palestine, wherever you come from, that you will find the kid at age 10 started working and providing for the whole family. How does the story happen? By age 18, he had his own business. By age 40, he's a millionaire. The pressure created success, right? You will find this kid in India. Oh my God, the first time he bought shoes was when he was in high school, or new shoes when he entered college, or new shoes when he had his first job, right? He had the same clothes and he was wearing the same clothes again and again and again the whole year, right? So little, but very big problem, right? The problem was walking long distance to school, right? So there's a documentary on Netflix. I think it's called Back to School, in which they filmed kids around the world who have to walk to school. And some kids had to walk through, in Africa, they had to walk through literally lions, hyenas, this to get to school. Some kids, the longest walk was in Morocco, in which 2-3 girls had to walk some 26 miles to make it through, and through mountains up and down, and hitchhiking and this and this. And they're little cute, little young teenagers wearing their hijab and their jeans, and on the way one of the girls sprained her ankle, but she had to keep going, and then they go for the whole week, they sleep in the school, and then they come back on the weekend. And very, very interesting stories. You see, when you give the youth a problem, all of their energy are gonna go there, and it's gonna be directed in the right direction. You give them no problem, they're gonna have to create a problem. So one of the things Islam did to the youth of Mecca, it gave them something to fulfill their youth in it. As I said, youth by nature are extremists. They are radicals. They want things black and white. They want roughness. They want toughness. They want action, right? So you either give it to them, or they're going to create. And usually when they create it, they're going to create it in the wrong direction. So Abdullah ibn Zubayr is having a problem now. He became Muslim. So his uncle, Hizam, became so upset with him. The story says that he would tie him up, and then he would burn, the straw rugs made of straw, hasir in Arabic. So straw rugs, he would burn the straw rug, get it close to him, not to burn him physically, but for him to breathe the smoke. So he used to torture him with this way of smoking him. Right? Today we have smoked turkey, smoked this, smoked that. We're talking about smoked believer, smoked human being. And he would be beaten on this, and he would say, "Leave Islam, go back to the religion of your fathers." And he said, "I'm not leaving Islam, even if you kill me, I'm not leaving it." So all of that extremism and radicalism of Sayyidina Zubayr ibn al-Awwam was directed in the right direction. Subhanallah, Sayyidina Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, by the time he is like 2, 3, 20, in his 20s, people started leaving to Abyssinia. So he went to Abyssinia with the travelers. Then he came back to Mecca, because people in Abyssinia heard that all Mecca converted to Islam, which was not true news. So some of them came back. So he came back with those who came back. And then he struggled so much, and then he made the hijrah to where? To Medina. So Sayyidina Zubayr ibn Awwam has witnessed both hijrahs. One of the early stories of Islam, the nephew of Khadija, right? When you hear Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, who's al-Awwam? The brother of Khadija, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Khadija bint Khuwaylid. So Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, to even get it more close to you, to make more intimate, who does Zubayr ibn al-Awwam marry early on in Mecca? Asma bint Abi Bakr. So now, you see how close? And Asma was another radical, energetic, focused girl, but radical in a positive sense, who brought the food to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Abu Bakr in Ghar Thawr when they immigrated from Mecca to Medina. She put it in a sack made of clothing, and she hid it under her abaya, and then she would, she wraps something around to carry both sacks, like a belt, right? So those two sacks were made of a piece of cloth that she used to wrap around her waist. So she tear it into two parts, and each sack is called nitaq. So what is the nickname of Asma bint Abi Bakr? Dhatul nitaqayn, the girl with the two sacks, with the two bags. Where were the bags? Not from the outside, under her clothes, and she would go and walk in front of a herd of sheep. Why is she walking in front of the herd of sheep when she goes to the mountain of Thawb? So that the herd of sheep will destroy her footsteps, the footprints behind her, right? So there is a strategy going on. If you go to the Ghar Thawr, you will realize it's a very exhausting climb. Just like Ghar Hira, you're talking about minimum 1 hour. If you're slow, you're talking about an hour and a half to 2 hours of very good vertical. I'm talking about 45 inclination or 45 degree. So it's a really exhausting going up. So for 2 weeks, she provided what? She provided the food to her father and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She provided the news from Mecca to him. She provided the cover, right? And all of this is Asma bint Abi Bakr. Asma bint Abi Bakr is married, Asma, the daughter of Abu Bakr, is married to Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. He's active, and Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam became one of the most known knights of Arabia. You know what a knight is? Right? A fighter, a warrior. One of the most known knights in this. Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, him and his son Abdullah ibn Zubayr were, by the grace of Allah, the single known factor for defeating the Romans. The leader of the army is Khalid ibn al-Walid. These two, this man and his son, they were, so in the Battle of Yarmouk against the Romans, Muslims could not win the first day. They had a minor blow to there, so you can say, but they got a small defeat, but they didn't win, but they didn't get completely defeated. Second day, third day, so now the number of the Romans is endless. The number of the Sahaba, 30,000, 35,000, is limited. Sayyidina Zubayr ibn al-Awwam realized, if we continue like this, if you do the math, the Muslims will be defeated after 1 week because we will be all injured, right? Because every day you have injured. So what did Zubayr ibn al-Awwam do? He says, who will pledge allegiance to me for death? And I'm now taking you "12 years after the death of the Prophet ﷺ. So we went from beginning of Meccan period to now after the death of the Prophet. So please, keep track. So now he tells, who will pledge allegiance to me to get with me and die? So around 30 people could go up. What he wants, he has a plan in his head. The army of the Romans is huge. He wants to crack their lines and go all the way to the tent of the leader. So 30 people pledge allegiance. He enters with them like an arrow, enters through the lines of the Romans. Halfway, the 30 people are dead. So he traces his way back and he comes back. So he goes back to the army. He says, who will pledge allegiance to me to win this battle, even pledge allegiance to them? So 30 people come. So he enters with them, fights. So it gets longer than before, and then everyone is dead. So he runs all the way back. Who will pledge allegiance to me? Nobody pledged allegiance to him. So he called upon his son, Abdullah, the old son. Abdullah ibn Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. Abdullah was the first boy born in Medina. Abdullah ibn Zubayr was born after 2 years of immigration. When Muslims migrated to Medina, their babies were dying from an early fever. and their boys particularly were just dying. No boy survived. And the news started spreading that people in Medina within the Jewish community made sihr on them, literally, so that all of their kids. So anyway, the first boy that was born, no woman will become pregnant, the kids are dying. First boy born in Medina was Abdullah ibn Zubayr. So you're talking about Abdullah now is in his 20s, the father is in his 50s, and he tells him, listen, we're going to ride on the same horse. You're going to take care of the people who attack the horse, and I'm going to on the back try to fight the people who are away. So you take care of the front, I take care of the back. We have to go across the lines until we reach to the tent of leadership of the entire Roman army. Because this is not happening. We're either going to win or we're going to all die. So now they do that and they go cross. God knows how many lines. At least there had to be 100 lines of enemy lines. And everybody's looking like, who is this crazy? Just kill him, right? And he's going and going and going. Only 2 people on the back of 1 horse until they reach to the tent of the leader of the Roman army. Nobody could believe it. Everybody's in shock. Everybody's distracted. They don't understand what's happening. They thought he was a messenger from the other army and that he's bringing a message of peace or surrender. So everybody's like in shock and awe. He goes down, walks into the tent, right? And with a bag. The bag had the head of the leader of the entire army. He runs on the horse, comes back, run to the front of the army. So now he's back into the area between the Muslim army and the non-Muslim army, the Roman army. And he opens the bag and he takes the head and he shows it to the other army, and then he throws it in the air. And that killed the morale of the army, and that made the Muslims win the battle of Al-Yarmouk. One of the reasons why they won. This is a Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, something like a myth, something like a legend, something like something that you can make a movie about, cartoons, Hollywood, you can name it. But Abdullah, Zubayr and his son Abdullah were one of the main contributors. And be mindful, the leader of the army at that time was Sayyidina Khalid ibn Walid, right? Sayyidina Khalid ibn Walid. And Umar ibn Khattab sends a letter to Khalid ibn Walid. You're no longer the leader of the army. The leader of the army is Abu Ubaidah Amr ibn Jarrah. And he does not send him that letter. He sends it to Abu Ubaidah Amr ibn Jarrah. Once you receive this letter, depose, put him, retire Khalid, and you are the leader. Okay? Why did Umar ibn Khattab do that? Not because he's mad at Khalid, but because people started believing in Khalid, not in Allah. They said, if Khalid is an army, we will win. So Sayyidina Umar did not want the entire army to have something like a hidden shirk. We get our victory from Khalid. You know what Abu Ubaidah Amr ibn Jarrah? He took the letter, folded it, and put it in his pocket, and did not show it to anybody until the battle finished and the Muslims won. He came to Khalid and he took it and he said, here is a letter from Umar al-Khattab. Khalid ibn Walid looks at Abu Ubaidah, gives him a hug and a kiss, and he said, Jazakallah khair, why didn't you show me this earlier? He said, because I'm in the battle and I knew we would have killed the morale of the army if we just did that. I have to improvise. And Sayyidina Khalid ibn Walid did not argue, did not say, why did he do that to me, this and that. But he explained to him that people started believing in you instead of believing in Allah. So this is the same army, the same battle that took place. Abu Ubaidah Amr, Zubayr ibn al-Awwam radiallahu ta'ala anhu was with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said, never ever in a battle that I stood up with the Prophet or in a traveling, if I thought danger came to the Prophet from one direction, I stood between him and that direction. I've never put the Prophet between me and the enemy. I've always put myself between me and between the enemy and the Prophet. So, inshallah, I think we'll try this one. Excellent. So, in the Battle of the Ditch, the Sahaba are in where? They're in Medina, surrounded by the enemy from the front and the back. The situation is deteriorating. The Sahaba dug the ditch, which was 6 feet deep, 8 feet wide, wider than a horse can jump, right? So 6 feet deep, 8 feet wide, and in some areas 10 to 12 feet wide. So it was a lot of work. Muslims worked for a whole month, day and night. People were starving from the lack of food, yet they did it. It was the most existential threat in the history of Islam. So the army of the disbelievers arrived, and they are surrounding, and they started from behind the thing shooting with arrows, and Muslims are shooting back with arrows. And then there was a breach. One time there was a breach, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Who will get up and cover that breach in the ditch?" Right? They were able to lay some wood and get over the thing under heavy shooting with arrows, bows and arrows. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Who will get up and close that breach?" So Sayyidina Zubayr ibn al-Awwam stood up and said, "Me ya Rasulullah." Rasulullah told him, "Sit down." Who will get up? He said, "Me ya Rasulullah." No one else will get up. Sit down. Who will get up? "Me ya Rasulullah." Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made dua for Zubayr, and they said something. He said, every prophet had a hawari. Hawari in Arabic, translated in English, disciple. If you can think, the word hawariyin in the Quran was used for the disciples of Jesus, right? Disciple, right? So the Prophet ﷺ said, every prophet had a disciple, and my disciple is a Zubayr ibn Awwam. So what is he known? What's his nickname? Hawariyu Rasulillah, the disciple of Rasulullah. And the word hawari also means pure, sincere, genuine, giving, all in, So that's the meaning of the word hawari. And this hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim, that he was called al-hawari of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the days of Mecca, and the news spread that after the sanctions, remember the 3 years of sanctions, and then the sanctions is no more. So as Zubayr ibn al-Awwam hears some noise happening, and there was a fight in front of the Kaaba, because some Muslims were praying, and the Kuffar Quraysh told the Muslims, don't pray in front of the Kaaba, you're not allowed to display your religious beliefs in public, we don't agree with that. So anyways, it became a fight. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in that area, and the voices were so loud that as Zubayr asked what happened, and someone decided to make up a news and said the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam got killed. This is in the early days of Mecca, right? And we're still in Mecca. So Sayyidina Zubayr ibn al-Awwam went home, took his sword, and took the sword out of its pocket, or its thing, and then went out and walking down the street, going straight towards Kaaba. And Rasulullah was the first one to see him coming back. So he said, Rasulullah, you're alive? He said, yes. What's going on? He said, I heard they killed you. I heard that you died. Someone killed you or something. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, and what would you have done if they have killed you? He said, I would have went down and fought to death, because life is no good after you. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam smiled and made dua for him, and told him to put the sword back, because they were not given a permission by Allah to fight at that time, because they were living amongst people, and Allah did not want the image of Islam to be that you are living amongst people and then you turn against them, which is all of these nonsense, like when people get up and say, oh, I'm fighting sabilillah, and then you live in a country, and then you get up and start shooting your neighbors, or you go to a restaurant, or this or that. That's totally un-Islamic. Allah did not allow the Prophet to fight when he was in Mecca, because you're not allowed to fight when you are surrounded by secure people, your neighbors, and this and that. But an army to an army, everybody understands that. But to fight your neighbors and to start fighting common people in the streets, and that was unacceptable from the very first beginning of Islam. And interestingly, people, because of their emotions, they would do that and give that image to Islam. Subhanallah. The Prophet ﷺ predicted Shahada for Sayyidina Zubair ibn al-Awwam, and Sayyidina Zubair ibn al-Awwam died as a shaheed, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they said he was either 60 or 70 years old when he died as a shaheed, most likely 60 years old, and his son Abdullah ibn Zubair, who's another Sahabi, the first boy born in Mecca, born in Medina after Muslims migrated from Mecca to Medina. The first Muslim period, boy or a girl born in Medina, was Abdullah ibn Zubair. Abdullah ibn Zubair had the genetics of his father, this idea, I'm all in, I am genuine, I'm sincere, I like this. Abdullah ibn Zubair, at age 8, which is, as I told you, some narrations say that Zubair became Muslim at age 8. His father became Muslim. So as Muslims are in the masjid, they're praying Salat al-Isha, and then they suddenly hear so much noise in Medina. And you know, Medina at night, it's dark, there's no noise. There's so much noise, so everybody start looking back, and what they see Abdullah ibn Zubair leading some 100 kids. They're all between age 8, 9, and 10, 11, 12, very early years, right? And he's walking with that huge crowd, 100 kids, storming the masjid, and then they walked between the lines, and then Abdullah ibn Zubair stands up and said, Ya Rasulullah, why do elders and adults pledge allegiance to you, but we, the kids, are not allowed to pledge allegiance to you? This is a shame. We're not little kids. We might be young, but we're strong and we can do something. So Rasulullah ﷺ looked at him and smiled and said, so you want to pledge allegiance? He said, yes. So he said, then stretch your hand so that you can, to me, so that I can pledge allegiance to you. So Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Zubair, when Rasulullah said, stretch your hand, he stretched his hand. And Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Zubair shook the hand of the Prophet ﷺ, pledging allegiance, like, I'm going to fight for this, I'm living for this, I'm standing for this until the day I die. And then 100 kids, he was leading, 100 kids shook the hand of the Prophet ﷺ, pledged allegiance. And after they were done, Rasulullah looked at Abdullah and then looked at Zubair ibn al-Awwam, his father, and he said, هذا ابن أبي, هذا ابن أبي. This is the son of his father, يعني a copy of his father. Abdullah reminded the Prophet of Az-Zubair in his youth, in the years of Mecca. So that's why what we're saying when we come to deal with youth that are 9, 10, all the way moving up, youth by nature are radical, extreme, all in, black and white, right? You either throw a cause at them, you either give them something to fight for, something to be busy with, something to work for, or they're going to find. You either give them a problem or they're going to make up a problem. Or find it. You're going to give them a cause or they will find the cause. And most of the time, they might pick something that you don't like. So what's the message to our youth? Boys or girls? Oh, just study, sit down and get A's at school and this and that. Okay. Studying and getting A's at school is something good, but why don't you add to that? Why don't you say, well, I expect you to go to the masjid and volunteer. I expect you to go and help at the masjid or at this event or at that event. You are in charge of such and such and such. Once you give them that, oh my God, I'm in charge of something, I'm important, I'm giving, I'm contributing, you know, this is my responsibility, subhanAllah, it gives him something. And that's why we find that both Zubayr ibn al-Awwam and his wife, Asma bint Abi Bakr, as we said, they both were given a task. They were both given a problem, a cause, and they both ended up fighting so hard for the cause. And Asma bint Abi Bakr outlived Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. Outlived Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. She lived long, actually, until she lost her sight, radiyallahu ta'ala anha, wa ardaha, may Allah be pleased with her. Subhanallah, one time the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was passing by and in Medina, and Asma was preparing the horse of Zubayr ibn al-Awwam for him. He was about to go out. And so Zubayr is from a distance coming to his horse. Asma is there, and the Prophet is passing by. And Asma saw the Prophet, but then turned around and continued to what? To wash the horse and prepare the horse, and and then he came to her and he said, "Have you lost your mind?" She said, "Why?" He said, "The Prophet passed by and you didn't say salam to him. What's wrong?" So, and then he went to the Prophet ﷺ and said, "Ya Rasulullah, I apologize, for your, for the, impoliteness of my wife. And why, Ya Rasulullah, what's going on?" Rasulullah ﷺ said, "I saw her and she saw me. And we wanted to say salam because, Asma was young when Abu Bakr became Muslim. She, for all intents and purposes, she was raised by the Prophet ﷺ. He said, but then we both remembered how jealous you are and chivalry you are. You don't like, anyone to talk to your wife, and this and that. The habits of the time. So he looked at the Prophet and he said, "Ya Rasulullah, would I ever feel jealous towards you? Please don't, if you did it for me, please don't do that. You can say salam to her, you can talk to her, she can talk to you. You have my free, so this is one of the small stories that happened between Zubayr ibn al-Awwam and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he always took it upon himself, whether the Prophet asked him or didn't ask him. In Mecca, in Medina, many times we have narrations that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would be in his house, then he would hear sound, noise coming from outside his house. And then the Prophet would be worried. Who's conspiring against me, right? Be it in Mecca or in Medina. And then he would come out and he would find Sayyidina Zubayr ibn al-Awwam sitting with his sword, guarding the Prophet ﷺ under his window, right? Took it upon himself to make sure that he just started thinking, those people of Quraysh are crazy, they're vicious, they're full of hatred. What if one day they decide to come and kill him at night? So he took it upon himself to guard the Prophet ﷺ. So one of the characteristics of the Zubayr ibn Awwam, that he was the what? The bodyguard of Rasulullah ﷺ, voluntarily without the Prophet asking him. And interestingly, last halaqah we talked about Abdurrahman ibn Auf, radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Also Abdurrahman ibn Auf used to